Okay, we had some technical difficulties and we had to change the presenter. So today, instead of Scott, I will be presenting this webinar. And joining me here in the room are Scott Navs and Ryan Quinn. And I guess most of you know who Scott and Ryan are. Scott has been with us ever since BookSense started, and Ryan is a new member of our team. She's been here with us for 6 months. So let's start. So some basic technical facts that we have to take care of. If you cannot hear me or if you cannot see my screen, you can see hand icon on your panel. Please click that to raise your hand so we know that you're having technical problems. We will wait a minute or so for everyone to make sure that you can hear me and see my screen. You should see a screen that says Cascade Books, which is the demo site that we'll be using today for the webinar. Okay, and I think maybe I should change the question. So if you can hear me, please raise your hand. That was better, yes. I see some hands raised and some are not. Oh, yes, now I see all the hands raised. Okay. And just some reminders, this webinar is being recorded and the video will be posted in a couple of days on the IndieCommerce Help Center under the Webinar Center. And if you have any questions, I see already there are a few who have started asking, they put their questions in the question box in the control panel. Yes, if most of these questions are about the connectivity, I think that has been resolved. So now we are back and the webinar is going to start. As we go through the webinar, if you have any questions, please feel free to put in your questions here in this question box, and we will address all these questions after the webinar. The webinar we think would be like for about 60 minutes, and after the webinar, we'll go through these questions one by one and we will address all the questions. So, and at the bottom, there is another section called the handouts, and you probably see two attachments on that handouts. One is the order processing part 2, all the topics that are being covered, that will be covered today. And the other one is a very short document on wholesaler fulfillment and how an order becomes eligible for wholesaler fulfillment. Most of this information is available on bookwipe.org under the IndieCommerce Help Center. But just to keep it handy, we have uploaded this document here. This is a docx, so if you have any trouble downloading this document, we will upload a PDF version and we will attach it to the follow-up email that you will get after this webinar. Okay, so let's start the presentation. So today's focus is going to be about order processing. And we did cover some of the basic points about order processing in the previous webinar. And I think some of you already attended that webinar. And information and the recorded video for that webinar is posted on the Webinar Center, and you can feel free to go watch it anytime. All the documentations are also available on the IndieCommerce Help Center on bookwipe.org. So today's order processing is going to be a little bit more advanced than what we did last week. We are going to concentrate on different use cases, different payment methods, and how orders will be processed for those payment methods. So first, we are going to start with the credit card orders. So before we talk about credit card orders, there is an important setting that each site has. By using this preference, you can choose whether you want your customers to save their credit card profile on your website or not. By default, this preference is not enabled on the sites. You can see the preference if you go to Store, Configuration, Account Information and Preferences, and Store Preferences. And this is the setting that I'm talking about. Always save credit card profile. By checking this preference, you take away the customer's option to choose not to save it. Like, let's say that by default, when you get the site, this setting is not enabled, and a customer goes through checkout. When they enter the credit card information, right underneath the credit card information fields, there is a checkbox, and it is disabled again by default. And if the customer can choose whether they want their credit card profile to be saved for your site or not. If the customer chooses not to save it, then they will go through checkout and there is no profile saved for the customer's credit card. And if the customer chooses to save it, you will see a profile for that customer, and you can use the profile for future orders or for reauthorizing the customer's card. But this additional preference that we have given for the stores is like if you, let's say you enable this checkbox and save the configuration, which means you are taking away that option from your customers. And the customers will not see the checkbox during checkout. And every order that they place using a credit card, the profile is always created. Just keep in mind that this does not save the credit card information on our servers. It just creates a profile, a reference number, and that reference is saved on authorized.net secure servers. We still do not save any credit card information on our servers. So this is an important thing to remember for while processing credit cards. So let's take the first case where we are going to go through processing a credit card order. For this webinar purpose, we have already placed a bunch of orders, and we are just going to go through. So we are not going to go through the checkout process. What we will do is what happens after the customer has placed the order. So the admin, the store staff logs into the site, and then they see the order. And so we are going to start from that point on. So this is an order. It was placed by a customer using credit card. So you see that the payment method is credit card, and you can click on the credit card details. You see the last 4 digits of the credit card, the expiration date, and the name of the person. And if you go all the way down to the admin comments, this is what provides you the authorization information for that particular credit card that was used. It gives you the transaction ID and the amount that it was authorized. For stores that have their own authorized.net payment gateway, this transaction ID might come in handy if you want to check the transaction on authorized.net. But for those who use ABA's authorized.net, it doesn't matter. So this is a simple credit card order. A customer placed it, and the order is now in pending state. So let's say that there is no complications with the order. You're ready to go ahead, fulfill the order. You want to ship it to the customer. So your first step that you would do is mark the order as payment received. When you mark this order as payment received, that is when the customer's card gets charged. Originally, when the customer placed the order, as you can see in the comment, just an authorization was made for that amount. There was no charge on the card. When you mark the order as payment received, the prior authorization capture. So that means the capture was made against this previous authorization, and the order status is now payment received. And there's one more important thing that you can see here, and that would be if you go to the payments tab, you can see that a payment information was entered for that particular order for the amount. It tells you how much was captured, and now the order balance is 0. So now this order is payment received, and you're ready to ship the order, and it's shipped, and now you want to complete the order, and you go choose completed, and you update. So now this order is done, payment received, completed, shipped, and everything is done. And at this point, we would like to mention this. We always remind the stores that it is very important that you mark all your orders as completed when you are done with that order. There are several reasons why it is required to mark an order as completed. Let's say it's a credit card order and you're using ABA's authorized.net payment gateway. You will get paid for that order only if the order is marked as completed. We wait for you to mark it as completed before we can process payment. And for any other order, like for a pay at store or a house account where you already have the payment, It's still a good practice to mark the order as completed. So at some point, when you run a report to go through all the orders that came through your site for this month of September, and an easy way to check for the orders that were completed would give you a full report of all the orders that went through your site. So this is a simple case of a credit card order. Next, let's look at another order. And just to mention that, when we look at the next order, I can explain that. So the next one is, we are going to look at another credit card order. This is, again, a simple credit card order. The customer went through checkout. It's a store pickup order, and the customer paid using the credit card. So you see the credit card information here. And then you go down, and when you look at the admin comments, when you compare this with the previous order that we went through, you can see there are 2 extra information available on the admin comment. This one that says authorized.net CIM profile created, and the next one which says authorized.net CIM payment profile created. This happens if the customer opted to save the credit card information or the credit card profile during checkout. So since the customer was willing to let the site save the profile, Authorized.net creates a profile for that customer, and each profile can have 10 different payment profiles. That means a customer can have 10 different credit cards on file, and each one will have its own individual payment profile. So for this customer, this is the customer information, CIM is the customer information manager. So this is the profile that is saved for this customer for their credit card on authorized.net. And the rest of the information here is similar to the one that you saw before. So again, this is the customer chose to save the profile. One of the advantages of this is if for some reason you want to change something to this order. Let's say the customer placed the order and then they called you a day later and said, oh, instead of 1 copy of the book, I want 2 copies of the book. So let's see. So let's go edit the order. And we are not going to change the ship information or the bill to information. We are just going to go down, change the quantity to 2, and select the shipping code. We want to make sure the shipping is still the same. Apply it to the order. You can now see that the order amount is now 80 because we are using 2 of the items, and then the tax changes accordingly. And so let's submit the change. So now we went in to edit the order, change the quantity. Lost your voice. No sound. Can you hear me? I thought there was a problem with the voice. It looks like there's some technical difficulty. Can you hear me? Apologize for this.
You sent it out apologizing and has something to do with us.
Okay, yeah. Can you? It looks like we are back. We are back. Okay. Sorry. Okay, so this is an order where we went in to edit the order, increase the quantity to 2 instead of 1. And so now this is, let's look at the order, what has changed. So if you go all the way down, you can see the big difference here is originally when the customer placed the order, the amount that was authorized was for $42.80 because that was the original price. It was the price of 1 book plus the tax. But now we have edited the order and we added 2 quantities of that book. So now the order total now is $85.60. So this is where the CIM profile comes in handy. So if the customer did not save the CIM profile, the only option a store has at this point is to call the customer again to get their credit card information and then process the order again for that higher amount. But since this customer chose to save their profile, you don't have to call the customer, but you can process this order and charge them for this higher amount. This is how it's done. So for this case, anytime you see that the order balance is more than the authorized amount, which is here 42.80, and the order balance is 85.60, so you go to the reauthorize credit card screen. By just clicking that button, it's not going to do anything. It's just going to take you to another page, which is the credit card terminal page. And this is where you're going to reauthorize for the higher amount. So if you look at this top section here, so this is the customer payment profile. So this is the card that the customer used, a MasterCard ending in 444. And there are two options here. You can charge the amount to this profile or authorize the amount only on this profile. In this case, we are just going to go and charge the amount because the customer called you. They wanted 2 copies of the book, so you're ready to ship the order and you just want to charge the customer for the higher amount. So you go there and then you click the charge amount to this profile button. And on top, you see the message that credit card was processed successfully, and see admin comments for more details. So let's go to the bottom. Let's see at the admin comment. And here there is something that's important that you should notice. It says authorize and capture immediately. What's happening here is the original authorization was done for 42.80 and the transaction ID is this. But since the order amount is now more than the original authorized, what the system does is it places another authorization and captures against that second authorization. So if you notice here, the transaction ID is now different from the original one. So it placed a second authorization and captured it, and for this amount, which is 85.60. And instead of doing in 2 steps, authorizing and then capturing separately, this one click did both together, authorize and capture. And you may wonder what happens to this original authorization. This original authorization usually expires in 3 to 4 weeks. But if you have your own authorized.net, you are free to go in, log into authorized.net, search for this transaction ID, and you can void that transaction ID. That will never be used for charging. It'll just stay there, and depending on the bank, it would expire within 3 to 4 weeks. And since we did an authorize and capture, and we have already received the payment for the order, you can see that the order is already in the payment received state. You did not have to mark it as payment received. Just by authorize and capture, the order becomes payment received. And now let's look at the payments tab. And you can see the comments here. It says authorize and capture for $85.60. The order balance is 0. So now, because the customer saved the CIM profile, you were able to charge the customer's card for a higher amount. And this is one of the advantages of having the CIM profile saved during checkout. This is one case. The other case is that, let's say an authorization is placed for an order. This authorization is valid only for 3 to 4 weeks. And if you are not ready to fulfill the order within that time, if you want to wait because the book is not available, then if the customer did not save the profile, there is no way for you to charge the customer after the 4 weeks. But if they have saved the profile, you can still go through the same steps that we did now and charge the customer by creating a new authorization and a capture. Now the order is done. You are ready to ship the book. And the last thing you have to do is mark it as completed. And this order is done. So these are the 2 cases, basic cases of credit card paid orders, when the customer has saved the CIM profile and when the customer did not save the CIM profile. The next is, let's go over what happens if you have an order, but you do not want to fulfill the order. For some reason, the customer called and then they want to cancel the order. So how do you take care of that? So for that, let's take the next order. Okay, so this is a simple credit card order. The customer placed the order and you received it, and it is in pending state. An authorization was placed. and then the customer calls in and then they want to cancel the order, or maybe you don't have the book and you want to cancel the order. So there are a couple of things you can do first to let the customer know that the book is not available and that you want to cancel the order. So you can add a comment here. Um, and anything that you add in the order comments, the customer will get an email if you send the notification. And so let's send the notification to the customer, letting them know that the book is not available and now you want to cancel this order. There are two reasons why you should mark it as canceled. One, because it's good for your reporting, so you know that you did not process this order and it has been canceled. And number two, which is the most important reason, is right now there is an authorization on the customer's card for $19.25. And since you're not able to ship the book, the right thing to do is to void that authorization. So let's mark it as canceled, update, and the authorization, and you see this message here, the authorization on the credit card has been successfully voided. And if you go down and in the admin comments, you see this. There was a void transaction. This is the transaction ID, the same one as before. And it said that the authorization placed on the customer's credit card has been voided. And for credit cards, it is not a big problem because there is no hold on the amount. But when a customer uses a debit card, we have always heard from customers that if the stores do not void it, the hold remains on the customer's debit card and they are not able to use that amount for another purchase. So the right thing to do would be to cancel the order. So just canceling a credit card order will automatically void the transaction. The next case is, let's say there was an order that came in and it was a credit card order and you marked it as payment received because you have the book and you're ready to ship it. You marked it as payment received. And then the customer calls in and says that they don't want the order. So now you have already charged the customer's card, but now you need to take care of it. So for that, let's look at another order. So this is the order. So the customer placed the order. There was an authorization, and someone at the store was looked at the order and they had everything ready to ship, so they decided to go in and charge the customer's card. So you see the prior authorization capture, $37.45. So this means the customer's card has already been charged. So now the customer calls, they don't want the book, so you need to cancel this order and make sure the customer's credit card is credited back that amount. It's pretty simple, the same procedure. From a store's point of view, there is nothing different, but it is just what the system does that is different. Because in this case, the order, if you look at the state of this order status, it is payment received. So simple, you go in and then you mark it as canceled, update. And now look at the message here. It's slightly different from before. Oh, it still says it's voided. But if you go down, if you look at this one, the last one, because there was no charge on the card, it was only an authorization. All we had to do was void the authorization. But in this case, since the card was already charged, what we have to do is credit the customer's card back. And that is exactly what happened. So the transaction that the system did now is to credit the customer's card back, and the order is marked as canceled. So okay, so this is the fourth case that we went through. This is for canceling credit card orders with a simple authorization, or if it has been payment received. Okay, so I'm going to take a 1-minute break and we will be right back. Okay, we are right back. Thank you for your patience. So credit card orders are the most popular orders that we see coming through our websites, IndieCommerce sites. The next one is we are going to talk about the gift card orders. And I'm not sure how many of you use GiveX and accept GiveX gift cards for online purchases, because the only integration that we have for IndieCommerce sites for redeeming a gift card during checkout is only for GiveX. And this is because of ABA's business relationship that we had with GiveX many years ago. And this integration was created back then, and we just upgraded it from Drupal 5 to Drupal 6 to Drupal 7. It doesn't mean that we are partial only to GiveX. It is just that we had this, and so we just supporting it moving forward. So let's see. Let's take another order as an example to go through GiveX orders. So let's say a customer placed an order, and customers are allowed to use up to 2 GiveX gift cards per order. The reason that we have that limit is because of the time it takes. Every time a customer puts in a GiveX number for checkout, our system has to contact GiveX, check the balance. And so if we have more than 2 cards, it just takes more time for the checkout process. And we have seen in the past that it causes some timeout issues. So we limited the number of cards allowed to 2. So a customer can use up to 2 GiveX cards for every order. So let's look at an example of a order that was placed using GiveX. So this is an order. The ship to, bill to, customer information, all this is the same. No changes here. The only difference here is the payment method, the pay here. So here, when the customer uses a gift card number, you can see the 2 gift card numbers that the customer had used for this order. And the payment method is GiveX gift card. And the most important thing is if you go down to the admin comments, these 2 are important here. It just tells the store staff how these 2 gift cards were redeemed. So it looks like the customer used the first gift card. They didn't have enough balance on it, so they had to use a second gift card. So the first one was redeemed for $30, and the second one was redeemed for $37.36, which adds up to the order total. So with a GiveX, when the customer uses a GiveX gift card during checkout, the most important thing to notice is those cards are redeemed right at the time of checkout. We had to make sure that happened because we didn't want the customers using the card somewhere else before the store had a chance to redeem the card. So this happens during checkout. So which means the order was completely paid when the checkout was completed. So if you go down, you see that the order status is payment received because the order has been fully paid. So let's go up here, and if you look at the payments tab, you can see that it was paid using GiveX gift card, and these are the 2 amounts that were redeemed on the 2 cards. So when an order comes in with GiveX payment method and everything looks good, you're ready to process the order. There is nothing more to do because you've already received the payment. So at this point, all you have to do is mark it as completed. And that's it. Everything is done. Now, for GiveX card orders is when an order needs to be canceled. So what happens? Because when a customer places the order, the GiveX card is already redeemed. And when you cancel the order, it is important that that amount goes back to the customer's gift card. So how do we do that? Let's look at another order. And I would just take a moment to point out that when you look at all these orders, you see that the bill to is Ryan, because she spent a lot of time yesterday creating all these use cases for us to use during this webinar today to make it as efficient as possible. So thanks, Ryan, for doing that. So this is another order. And here the customer paid using their gift card for $32.10. And the order is payment received because the order has been paid for using the gift card. We can confirm that going to the Payments tab. This is the payment and the order balance is 0. Now going back. Now, so the customer placed the order and for some reason they want it canceled. They don't want the book. So what do? So it is payment received. So all you have to do is mark this order as canceled and update. There you go. So look at this message on top. It says gift card this number credited successfully for 3210. What the system does is it looks at the order. It knows that the customer's gift card was redeemed and you want it canceled. So it takes that gift card number and it credits the amount back to the customer's gift card. And the admin comment reflects the same, that this amount was credited back to the gift card. Now, if either you can check it or the customer can check it. If they go back and check the balance on their gift card, it should say that this amount is credited back. And any store that uses the gift card, the GiveX gift card for payment method, if you go to gift card balance, you can put in the gift card number here, check balance, and it will give you the latest balance on that gift card. Store admins have access to this page, and customers, I believe they can go directly to GiveX and check the balance on their card. So that's important. And another important thing about GiveX gift cards is we have this feature where they can combine a GiveX gift card with a credit card during checkout. Let's say a customer has a gift card for $10 and then they place an order which is $15. So they can use the gift card for the $10 and they can use their credit card for the remaining $5. So let's see how a store would process such an order. For that, let's look at order number 266. So this one was paid using a gift card and a credit card. Now, how do you know that it was? So the easy way to find that is if you go to the payment section here, it says the payment method is still gift card because that is the primary payment method. So you see the gift card number, and then you see the credit card that was used. So this was a credit card that was used for the remaining balance. And the other important thing is the admin comment. So first, you see the gift card was redeemed for $64.34. So obviously that was the balance available on that particular gift card. And the remaining $28.73 was authorized on the customer's credit card. So this happens automatically when they place the order through checkout. They put in their gift card number and they check the balance. And if the balance is not enough to pay for that order, automatically a credit card pane opens up. The customers are forced to enter a credit card number there. Without that, they cannot go through checkout. And also at this point, we would like to remind you that we strongly encourage all stores to have at least a couple of staff members go through the checkout process as a customer would. So that gives the store staff a better understanding of what the customer puts in and how those things happen. So if you go through an order using a GiveX gift card, you can see that you are prompted for a credit card information if your gift card does not have enough balance on it. So this order came in, there was a partial payment using gift card, and then the remaining was authorized on the credit card. So how do you process this order? So this part is the part on the gift card is already redeemed. So you already have that money. If you go to payments, that actually confirms that. So you have the gift card and 64 was charged on the gift card and the remaining balance is 28.73. So you are now ready to process this order. You are ready to ship the book, and the next thing for you to do is charge the credit card so you can secure this payment also. So you go in here and mark it as payment received. So what the system will do is it'll look at just the credit card portion of the order. It just for the $28.73, it looks at only the credit card portion of the order and charges the credit card. And the order is payment received. And let's go to the payments tab and take a look at it. And so you have the gift card payment, which we saw before. And what happened right now is the remaining balance on credit card, 2873, and this is the capture information for that balance. So, and we are done. So the order is payment received, and after you have shipped the book, all you have to do is go and complete the order. Okay, so now the next use case. Um, let's look at another order which has a gift card and a credit card. And let's see if we can find an order that we can actually cancel to see how that will work. Okay. I just need to find an order that I can cancel.
266.
Let's look at 267. What does that order have? 267 is already completed. Okay. So once an order is completed, yeah, this is another thing that important to know. When an order is pending, payment received, you are able to cancel the order. But once the order has been marked as completed, the system will not let you cancel the order. It's for various reasons. One, if a store uses ABA's authorized.net, if the order has been completed, which means ABA has already distributed the money to the store and to Ingram if it is a wholesaler order. So at this point, it only makes it complicated if the store cancels the order. So that's the reason we made this restriction that once it's been completed, the orders cannot be canceled. That means that is final. Marking an order as completed is final. But in some cases, we always hear from stores, let's say you have a credit card order and you have marked it as completed, and then later the customer calls and then they want to cancel the order. Although we say that it is final, we still have ways to we still have to credit the customer's card because the customer wants it canceled. So if that is the case, since you cannot mark it as canceled, please write to us at staff@bookweb, give us the order number and the amount that you need credited back to the customer, and we can take care of it for you if we are using ABA's authorized.net. But if you are using your own authorized.net, then you can go to authorized.net, log into authorized.net, and search for the transaction ID. Like for any credit card authorization, you will see a transaction ID. Search for this transaction ID, and it'll give you an option to credit the amount back to the customer. That is if it has been completed and you cannot do it through the website. Okay. And I think is I was going to show you another order.
273. You can cancel.
I'm going to show you another order where it was paid for using GiveX. Or maybe I will request Ryan to place another order using a gift card and a credit card so we can demonstrate what happens if we cancel a order that has both a GiveX gift card and a credit card. And while Ryan is setting up an order for us, let's go to the next use case. And I think, it's been like 40 minutes since we started, so we will take a couple of minutes break, give you some time to go over what we discussed so far, and we will be back in 2 minutes. Thank you. Okay, we are back. And Ryan has been kind enough to create another order for us to go through. Yes, order number 274. Now, let's say there is an order which has a gift card and a credit card part of it. So this is an order the customer paid using gift card. The gift card was charged $6. The order is $85.60. So the customer had to use a credit card for the remaining $79.60. Let's say you get this order and the customer wants to cancel the order. So there are two parts in this order. One is the gift card portion and the credit card portion. The gift card has already been redeemed. So if you cancel the order, there are two things we have to do. We have to credit the amount back to the gift card, and the credit card portion has an authorization which we need to void. But still, the system takes care of everything for you. All you have to do is mark this order as canceled. And now let's look at this message here. It says the authorization on the credit card has been successfully voided and the gift card was credited successfully $6. So the system looks at it, the order. So the gift card was redeemed for $6. So it credited back the $6 to the gift card. The credit card was authorized for $79.60 and that authorization was voided. So the system has been set up very well that there is nothing for the stores to do, irrespective of what the payment type is or how complicated, whether you have two payment types, a gift card and a credit card, or just a credit card, or only a gift card, it doesn't matter. All you have to do is mark it as canceled, and the system takes care of everything, every part of it. Okay. So that's the thing. Now let's go to the next most common payment method that we hear about, that is PayPal. Many of our IndieCommerce members have PayPal accounts and they accept PayPal orders. For PayPal, there are two ways we can set up the PayPal account. It depends on the stores. IndieCommerce as an ABA, we do not have control over it because it is each individual store's PayPal account. But I can just walk you through the configuration page. It is under Store, Configuration, Payment Method. And you see the PayPal, Payments, Website Payment Standard. You hit the setting, and all this information on top is basic information. The only thing that you have to pay attention to is the payment action. There are two kinds of payment actions you can choose from. One is authorization, and the other one is complete sale. Now, what's the difference between the two? If you select authorization, it means you are only going to authorize the customer's credit card when they choose PayPal as a payment method. When a customer chooses PayPal as a payment method, they are redirected to PayPal. This is a big difference between using credit card and PayPal. In credit card, the customer enters the credit card information on your IndieCommerce site, and then that information is sent to authorize.net. But for PayPal, they do not enter anything on your IndieCommerce site. At the end of checkout, the customer is redirected to PayPal. They put in all the information on PayPal's end, and once the processing there is done, the customer will be brought back to their IndieCommerce site with a thank you message and the checkout completion page. So on PayPal's end, you can either choose to just do an authorization, or you can do an authorize and capture, which is what is a complete sale. And the way you set it up, there is be a difference in the orders that you get in with the PayPal payment method. Now let's take a look at two orders. One was placed using authorization and one was placed using complete sale. So order number 251. Okay, so this order was placed, and when this order was placed, and at that time, the IndieCommerce site had the setting set to authorization. So that means only an authorization is going to be done for the credit card. So this is me who placed the order. So when I placed the order at the end of checkout, I was redirected to PayPal. I put in my credit card information on PayPal's end. And after the authorization was successful, I was brought back to the IndieCommerce site. And that's it. My checkout was done. Now the store opens up this order, and this is important here. You see this note here in the admin comment. It says payment is pending at PayPal, waiting on you to capture the funds per your authorization settings. Since you chose to do only an authorization, PayPal is telling you that you have to log into PayPal and capture that fund. Until then, nothing happens. And important to note that the order status for these orders is PayPal pending. It's different from pending. It's PayPal pending because it's a PayPal payment method. So this order has come through. It's only an authorization, no charge, we have not received the funds for this order. So if you see an order like this, the first step is to log into PayPal and capture the fund. Once you capture the fund on PayPal's end, PayPal will send a notification back to your IndieCommerce site. Sorry, I should know how to switch off. Sorry. So PayPal will send a notification back to your IndieCommerce site, letting you know that the fund was captured. And the status will change to payment received. And then you can complete the order. So this is case number one. The case two is, let's say your PayPal configuration was set to complete sale. So now what happens? For that, let's look at order number 252. This is again the same thing. All we had, just to demonstrate the difference, we had to change the configuration on the PayPal configuration page to complete sale. So it's the same customer placing a similar order, and I was redirected to PayPal. I put in my credit card information, but this time, instead of just placing an authorization, my credit card was charged right away. And I was brought back to the IndieCommerce site, and my checkout was complete. The store staff opens the order, and if you go in and you see a different message here under the admin comment, it says PayPal IPN reported a payment of $32.40. So this says that the payment has already been made. PayPal has registered a payment, and IPN is like an instant payment notification that you get from PayPal. And the other difference is this order is now marked as payment received. So when this order comes into your site, when the customer completes the checkout, it's already in the payment received state because PayPal charged the customer's card. And if you look at the payments tab, you can see that the payment method was PayPal, and you see the transaction ID. The order balance is zero because the entire amount has been charged on the customer's card. And now it's all done. All you have to do is mark it as completed. And also please note that for PayPal orders, if for some reason you want to cancel this order, canceling the order from your IndieCommerce site does not return the money back to the customer's card. That refund has to happen from PayPal. You have to log into PayPal and issue the refund back to the customer's card. That is the big difference between using a credit card and the PayPal. Since the PayPal is your own account, you have more control over it, and most of the tasks should be done on PayPal's end. Okay, so now we have covered PayPal orders. Most of the orders that come into the website, all IndieCommerce sites, I think 90% of the orders are fulfilled by the store. But then there are some orders that can go to Ingram. We are not going to go into details about how to process an Ingram order because it's important to note that there is nothing for you to do for an order that is sent to Ingram, except maybe hit a button to send it to Ingram. After that, it's on Ingram's end. Ingram processes the order, ships the order, sends an invoice to ABA, and most of the work after that happens between Ingram and ABA. And so the store has nothing to do with those orders. So one of the handouts that we have added to this webinar, if you can take a look at it later, it gives you a list of all the conditions that have to be satisfied in order for an order to be eligible to be sent to Ingram. Just to going over some of the important points there, let me just, okay. First, if the order has 3 items, all 3 should be available at the same warehouse, one warehouse. We do not ship orders from different warehouses. And it has to be paid for using credit card. It has to be a domestic order. No international orders are taken by Ingram. And there are specific shipping methods. If it is a PO box, it has to be a USPS shipping method. If it is UPS and PO box, that's not going to work. It will not go to Ingram. And if there are any custom products along with books, it will not go to Ingram because the whole order cannot be fulfilled by Ingram. And further detailed documentation is available on bookweb.org under the IC Help Center. So now let's look at some of the orders. You may have noticed this before while processing orders. Let's look at order number 245. Okay, so this is important. You see this button up here. It says send to Ingram. That is the key here. Let's say a customer places an order and it goes through your site, and for that order is eligible to be sent to Ingram. All the conditions are satisfied and you see the order, and then all you have to do at this point to send the order to Ingram is hit that send to Ingram button. It's up to you. If you want to fulfill the order yourself, you can go ahead and process the order yourself, or if you want to send it to Ingram, you can just hit the send to Ingram button. But there are 2 things that I would like to mention here without taking too much time. If you go to Store, Configuration, Account Information and Preferences, and Store Preferences, you see the first option here, the preference here called Wholesaler Fulfilled. By default, this is disabled for all sites. What happens is if this option is enabled, and if a customer places an order, if all the conditions are good to go to Ingram, the order will be sent to Ingram without any involvement from the store, which means you won't even know that the order came through because the order would directly go to Ingram. And when you open the order page, you will already see that it is pending warehouse. And at that point, there is nothing you can do about that order. So in general, we recommend, and most stores do it, they disable this option. So what happens when they disable this option is what you see here. The order does not go to Ingram automatically, but if it is eligible, you will still see that button, as we saw here, 245. Yeah. So we still see the send to Ingram here. So most of the stores, they disable that preference and they will see an order. If they want to send it to Ingram, they have the option to send it to Ingram. So let's see what happens when you hit this button. So this is a simple order. It's credit card, paid by credit card. There is an authorization on the credit card and the order comes in. You want to send it to Ingram. So all you do is hit this button. And if you go down, you see this important message here. It says the order was manually marked for wholesaler fulfillment by the admin. And if you look at the order status, it is now pending warehouse. So this order has been marked for Ingram. And how we handle this is during the day at 9:45 a.m. and at 2:45 p.m. Eastern Time every day, we collect all the orders that are marked for Ingram and we send it to Ingram. It is an electronic transfer, so it happens twice a day. Let's say you select an order like around say 11 a.m. Eastern Time and you mark it for wholesaler fulfillment, and you can be guaranteed that this order will be sent to Ingram at 2:45 p.m. that same day. And anything that is marked for Ingram after 2:45 p.m., like how I did it now, it's about 3 p.m. So this order will stay on our servers until 9:45 a.m. tomorrow morning to be sent to Ingram. We send it twice a day. So once an order has been marked and sent to Ingram, there is nothing the store has to do. In fact, there is nothing you can do. As a store admin, you will not be able to edit the order. You will not be able to change the status of the order. when Ingram has shipped the order, we will get a notification, and those notifications will be updated in this section on your order. When Ingram ships it, there will be a line that says Ingram shipped the order from which warehouse. And when we get the invoice, you will see another comment that says that this order has been completed and Ingram has invoiced us. So, and there are other types of orders that can be sent to Ingram. One of them would be pre-orders. In recent, I think it was almost a year or a year and a half ago, we added this pre-orders to Ingram. What happens is if there is a pre-order coming up and you want to accept the order from the customer, and if you are not able to fulfill it, you can still send it to Ingram. And the difference between the two, I will just if it is a pre-order book, this book is pre-order. It's not available for purchase yet, but then customers can place an order for it. And the difference that you see here is it says send pre-order to Ingram. The other one said send order to Ingram. This one says send pre-order to Ingram. So we can send this pre-order to Ingram. The only thing, it'll wait. The order will go to Ingram, but it's going to wait, and Ingram usually ships the order the day before the pub date. So once it's sent to Ingram, we just have to wait for the book to be published, the pub date, and the day before it, Ingram ships it. Let's hit this button and see what happens. Send pre-order to Ingram. It's the same thing. It is a pre-order manually marked for wholesaler fulfillment. And cancellation date is November 5th, 2015. What this means is the book is going to be released like maybe a week from November 5th. So you have until a week until the pub date for you to cancel. If you change your mind, let's say this is a pre-order, you sent it to Ingram, and then you realize next month that you have these books and you want to fulfill them yourself, then you can cancel it. It is possible to cancel. There is a procedure for it, and you can cancel it. But right now, it has gone to Ingram, and the status is payment received. Okay. I think we are running a little out of time, but quickly, there's one more topic we wanted to cover, and we are just going to do that fast. It's tax exempt. I'm not sure how many of you accept tax exempt orders on your website, mostly schools and libraries that are eligible for tax exempt. So let's, and again, I just taking a moment to apologize for all these notifications you're seeing. I wasn't supposed to share my screen today. Scott was supposed to do it. And because of some technical difficulties, I ended up sharing my screen and I didn't have time to disable these notifications. I apologize for that. So let's look at a tax exempt. So when, let's say a customer, like a library, is placing an order on your site and they are tax exempt. So they place an order, and during checkout, they have a field where they can put in their tax exempt information. And the order goes through. The difference here is because they claim to be tax exempt, the system does not charge sales tax for their order. And the staff at the store picks up the order for processing. And let's take a look at an example of a tax exempt order. So this is what you will notice for a tax exempt order, the tax exempt information. So this is because of this tax exempt information, you can also see that this order, which should have been sales tax, there is no sales tax here because of this information that was supplied. Now, when you process the order, you can go and you will be, I think most of the stores do this. They go in and check this information to make sure this is valid. And if you think it's all good and this particular customer is eligible for tax exempt, then you just have to go in and process the order as usual. No changes there. But let's say you look at this information and then you decide, oh no, this person is not eligible for tax exempt. You want to remove this information and apply tax to the order. So how do you do that? You go to edit, and then you see the tax exempt information here. And just a note that you do see a shredder icon here. We are in the process of fixing this. It is not yet fixed and it's not working yet. But what you would do is you have to delete this entire tax exempt information so that the system can apply the tax. You don't have to delete the address. All you have to do is delete the organization name and the tax exempt number. And you go down And this is important. Anytime you edit an order, it's always important to apply the shipping code. Even if it is the same thing, just make sure it is the same as what the customer had chosen here, and make sure that's selected, apply to the order, and save. Now, if you take a look at this, you see that the sales tax has been added to the order because you removed the tax exempt information here. And then you can go back to view, and then the order total is adjusted, and then you can process the order. And we also hear from stores, sometimes a customer places an order, they place the order, and then they realize that they are eligible for tax exempt. So how do you do that? So same way, you just get the order, you go to edit, you put in the tax exempt information here, and then you go get the shipping codes, save it, and submit the change. And once you have this information here in the tax exempt pane, if you go down, you will see that the tax is removed for that order. It is possible to fix an order, like add tax exempt information after it was placed by the customer. I think we have gone through all the use cases that we wanted to talk about today for the various order processing scenarios. I know this is probably a lot of information that we shared with you today, but please note that this entire webinar has been recorded, and we will post the video on the IndieCommerce Webinar Center. And all documentations, there's extensive documentation available on the IndieCommerce Help Center for all the topics that we discussed today. Please take a look at the documentation and the videos, and always you can email us at staff@bookweb.org. And so I think we are done with the presentation, and now we are going to open up for questions. Okay, let me take a look at the question box here. Okay. From Melissa, why would you choose authorization instead of complete sale? So I believe this question is for PayPal. It is a policy. It has to do with the store. Sometimes stores are not, they have a policy that they do not want to charge a customer's card until the order is ready to be shipped. They do not want to charge a customer's card at the time of checkout. They want to wait until the order is ready for ship. And then when they ship the order, they go in and mark it as, they go in to charge the card. So I think it's up to the store. Some stores have it as complete sale, and some stores have it as authorization only.
She might have another question. She raised her hand.
Yeah. Okay, now you can either post your questions in the box, in the question box, or if you want to raise your hand, we will enable the microphone for you, and then you can tell us your question. Melissa, I see your hand raised. Did you have a question for us? I guess not. Okay. Okay, let's see. Any more questions? Okay, there's another question. Okay, there's a question from John Edwards. Once an order is payment received, how can we change the shipping method? Do we need to have their payment profile saved? John, yes and no. The only let's say a customer placed an order and you were charging $10 for shipping, and the customer wanted to change the shipping method, or you wanted to change the shipping method, and it ended up being that the shipping cost is only $5, which means we are now charging them $5 less than the original authorized amount. In that case, you don't need the customer's payment profile. As long as the order total at the end is less than or equal to the authorized amount, you do not need a payment profile. You need it only if your order total ends up being more than the authorized amount. Oh, sorry. Yes, Scott just noticed something that I didn't. Okay, you have an order that is payment received. Okay, so if an order is payment, what I mentioned earlier is if the order is pending. Now the order is payment received, which means you have already received payment for the order. At this point, number one, you will not be able to edit the order. And that means you will not be able to change the shipping method or change the shipping cost. The only two options you have now are cancel the order or mark it as completed. And if you want to cancel the order and then create a new order on behalf of the customer with the new shipping method, then for that, yes, you would need the customer's payment profile saved. Okay, next question. Are there different rates for discount shipping when using Send to Ingram versus Ingram direct to home? Scott would be the best person to answer this question because he is very familiar with the Ingram side of things. So I'm going to hand it over to him.
My understanding is that Ingram's direct to home that Ingram's direct to home is different from our system. From what I understand, our system, our arrangement with Ingram predates their direct to home. So there are a couple of things that are a little bit different. We do have stores that will receive an order online and they will turn right around to their Ingram account and they will replace the order as an Ingram direct to home. Usually the reason for that is because Ingram direct to home will allow for media mail shipping. One of the things you'll notice about all of the shipping options that are available on our system that Ingram will recognize is that they are all trackable. So whether it's a UPS, FedEx, or USPS priority mail, they're all trackable shipping methods. So we don't allow Ingram to ship for our system media mail. It's just not something that we developed. We didn't do it that way. When Ingram set up their direct to home, they did include the media mail, which is again why some stores will turn around and replace that order. So it's a little hard to say. In the end, my understanding is that Ingram will charge for shipping whatever the actual going rate is. If they're shipping an order out and it's going from one warehouse to a particular address and it weighs this amount and it's going by UPS, UPS is going to give them a shipping quote and that's what's going to be charged. Unfortunately, we never know what that is ahead of time. So it's a little hard to say. Let's see. So again, just keep in mind that the two are not really related. Our system sending an order to the warehouse and you sending an order through Ingram's direct to home are really two different systems. Does that help or does that confuse? So Muir, was that helpful information? Okay, now I don't.
No, we don't have anything.
Do we have any other questions? We're just checking here to see if there are any other questions coming up. Let's see. And yeah, I think we're good here. And again, keep in mind, if you think of a question after the fact, you can always give us a call, drop us an email at staff@bookweb.org. We are happy to help. Okay. All right. Well, if we don't have any additional questions, I think we might be able to wrap this up. I'll just ask one more time. If anybody has a question, drop it in the question box and let us know. Otherwise, I think it is safe for us to part company. Again, keep in mind this webinar has been recorded and we will be posting that information in the on bookweb.org in the webinar center. Probably early to mid next week, I would guess. We'll have it up there. And I think that's about it. Thank you. Oh, yes. Don't forget, please fill out the survey. You'll get an email after this session is over. We do ask that you take a little time to fill out the questions and send them back here. That is how we improve for our next round of webinars. And we want to apologize for some of the technical difficulties. Of course, we didn't create the software that runs it all, but we do have to deal with it and say we're sorry. That's all. Our next, what is the date of the next?
2 weeks.
2 weeks from today, which November 4th is our next webinar, and we'll have information posted about that in the coming week or so. All right, thank you, everyone. Thank you very much for attending, and we will see you in a couple of weeks.